So the pros and cons of Orange County. So you're going to want to watch the whole video because we are going to be honest about the cons, because it's very important that you know what are the real cons. I know, some locals around here, they get really mad at us if we mention
Yeah,
cons.
it's perfection, right? It's flawless. There's no issues at all.
Yeah, which is always weird to me because first of all, I'm like, who cares like what someone else does about where you live? Like, I truly do not care what someone else thinks. And second of all, like, there's cons to everywhere. So we got to be honest about the cons, because the worst thing that could happen is you come out here and then you're like, wait, I actually don't like it here. So we're going to be honest about the cons, but then we're also going to give you the reasons why, people put up with the cons to live here.
Now, can I give you a quick con that really is a backbreaker?
What?
The balloon.
Oh.
So, okay, the balloon behind us.
We're in Irvine.
Yes, we're at the Great Park, and that balloon right there, you'll see it on the freeway. It's like a kind of like an, something to
You
see.
almost said eyesore.
I wouldn't say it's an eyesore, but
almost
I
said
maybe
that.
the Freudian slip. But what's annoying about it is the fact that if there's even the slightest breeze, they will not let it rise up. So it's all tethered, but this is not like a free, like, flowing balloon at all.
Yeah.
This is tethered very heavily, but if there's any breeze, we actually had it where we were here before, where that balloon was tethered and they would not let it go because it was too breezy, but it wasn't so breezy that we could even fly a kite.
Yeah.
Like a kite we could not fly, but the balloon, it was too dangerous.
Yes, okay.
So we got that huge con out of the way.
Oh man, that is a deal breaker. The Great
Totally.
Park balloon never is actually in the air. That is a deal breaker for me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about a pro, since we were talking about a con.
Yes.
So I would say a pro of Orange County is that Orange County, it really is its own little bubble, right? I mean, you've seen all the same headlines that we've seen about all of the issues that California has. Now, not to say that Orange County doesn't have some of these problems, and I know that you probably know what I'm talking about, all of the California problems, but it does seem, at least from our perspective, that it doesn't have as many, like, Orange County is kind of its own, like, it's in its own little bubble.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting because we get calls from all over California. So you hear about this exodus happening from California where people are leaving, let's say, the LA County or the Bay Area, and they're moving out of state. But what a lot of people don't realize is that those same places that people are leaving from, they're actually, a lot of them are relocating into Orange County because, let's be real, California in a lot of ways is awesome.
Yeah.
And Orange County kind of gives you a lot of the good with less of the bad.
Yeah, definitely less. Not to say that it's perfect.
Yes.
It's certainly not. But yes, it's its own little bubble.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Dezahd.
And I'm Courtney Dezahd, and we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of California.
So if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the glitz. I love the glamour. I love the overcast weather. I can't wait to move out there now. But the problem is that I may not be local. I may be out of state. I may be even out of the country. So I don't even know what to do first. And I totally get that. That's why you want to reach out to us so we can have that conversation to find out specifically what your needs are. We could be your boots on the ground, help you locate that perfect home.
So another con is, and this is for anybody, maybe if you're from the East Coast or maybe you're from a country that has really good public transportation. So in Orange County, we don't have good public transportation. I would say that's pretty much non-existent, even though we do have buses and stuff. Like, it's very difficult to get around.
Yeah, without a car, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of the West Coast of the United States. I mean, do you want to give, like, when your dad first came to this country, like, his dad didn't believe him, right?
Yes. So he came from Iran and, like, basically, and he lived in a big city, like the Tehran, so like the biggest city there, and everything was relatively close by and they had mass transportation. So my dad comes here and he's like, hey, Dad, I need a car because everything is spread out. I can't do it. And his father thought he just wanted to pick up on girls, and so he wanted a car, and he didn't believe him until my grandfather came out here, and then he's like, oh, I see. Like, things are spread out. There really isn't very good. Again, there's no real subway. There's no subway here. Light rail is very minimal to non-existent. We do have a couple little things like Metrolink and that kind of thing, but really not. It's not robust, right? Like, it's going to hit you every corner of the area. And like you said, the buses, they do what they can, but it's inconvenient.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's not for a lack of effort, like Sean's saying. It's just so vast and big here. I mean, it's not like the East Coast where you're getting these giant cities like so close to each other. I mean, it's just like a lot of land, and it's really hard to have good public transportation with that.
And this was built for cars. Like, cars were well on their way to being widely adopted by the time Orange County has been developed and continues to develop. And so it's like, okay, well, we'll just wait for the autonomous vehicles from Tesla, and then we'll be fine.
If that ever happens.
Hey, I have full self-driving. It will happen. I paid for it.
We'll see. Okay. Another con of Orange County, this isn't a con to me because I'm quite possibly the most boring person
So
on the
boring.
planet.
She's boring. Boring.
There's very limited nightlife here. Not to say there aren't bars and stuff like that, but if you're from a place with good nightlife, like New York City, let's say, so Sean always says, there's nightlife at Newport Beach. Like,
Yes, there is. We have Anaheim, we have Buena Park, we have, like, actually, I'd say North and Coastal County, you have actually reasonable nightlife. It's not going to be New York City, I agree with you.
It's not,
but
it's not at Los Angeles either.
yes, but however, like, a lot of Orange County is suburbia to the max, and it's, you know, again, so where you're not going to get a ton of nightlife, but there are pockets, again, if you're looking for something that you're closer to nightlife, reach out to us so we can kind of point you in those directions, even though we don't partake in them.
So now let's talk about traffic. So this is going to seem strange to you because we're going to put this as a pro. So Southern California, like Orange County, like all big cities, big metropolitan areas, has bad traffic. But because Orange County was very much master planned, like it was a bedroom community originally for Los Angeles, so they knew that there was going to be a lot of people moving in, so they planned for all the people. So because of that, I would say the traffic here is much better than Los Angeles, than Riverside, and San Diego. Like, it's night and day.
Yeah, we're graded on a curve here.
Yes.
So basically, yes, as an absolute traffic bad.
Yes.
Relatively speaking, compared to our peers, and compared to honestly any, like you said, metropolitan area, we're actually pretty good. So we actually have wide freeways, generally speaking, newer freeways, as well as we also have really big thoroughfares. So some of these streets are huge. There can be like 8 lanes across, and these are just normals. Like, these are these streets that kind of rush you in and out of certain pockets. And this is throughout the county. This is not just a South County thing, which you do see a lot of, but even North County actually has some pretty big streets too. Like, you know, you have Harbor Boulevard, you have Beach Boulevard, let's say in North County, and then South County, you just have tons of different streets that like will like rush you to wherever you need to go.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of alternate routes. You don't have to stay just on the freeway. In fact, we joke about Culver being this street where it actually is a portal. Space folding does happen here, where somehow you get to where you were before you left.
Yeah. So now the next thing that we're going to talk about, we're not going to pose it as a pro or a con because it's very subjective. We're just going to talk about crime and safety. This is a question that we get a lot from people who are calling in. So obviously what I think is safe may not necessarily be what you think is safe, or what you think is safe may not necessarily be what I think is safe. I mean, all I can say is that there's a lot of really good websites out there that will give you crime statistics on whatever area you're thinking about. And then I will say that, you know, Orange County is known for having, you know, good crime and safety. If you look at Irvine, I think 17 years in a row, it's been ranked like the safest city in America by the FBI, 250,000 or greater. So, you know, it's subjective. Obviously, like, I feel safe in Orange County, but again, that's anecdotal, so.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's like, you know, it's hard for us to say, like, you know, oh, this place is safe, this place is not safe, because that's such a subjective thing. I mean, I mean, it's just, it's one of those things where you come here, you do your digging, you kind of look at the resources, you know, and obviously we always recommend that you go to that, let's say you've zeroed in on an area, go to that area different times of day, including the night, just to get a feel of, okay, what to anticipate when you're here.
Yeah. Now, another big pro of Orange County, and this is something that I really, really love about Orange County, is that it is a very diverse area. So you can look at the data for yourself. It's definitely easy to Google, look at the census data. But one number that really stuck out to me is that according to the US Census, 45% of households in Orange County speak a language other than English at home. So that just shows you like how much diversity there is here.
Yeah, and the household that I grew up in, I don't even know if that would classify, because my father wasn't from here, and he definitely spoke another language, and my grandparents spoke another language. They didn't speak that way to me, so I never quite picked it up. So I don't know if that counts. And secondly, even our household, I don't know if that counts because our kids speak Mandarin. I don't speak any like other languages, and Courtney does speak Spanish, but not to the kids. So I don't know if we classify under that either. So I think the number can be much larger, actually.
Yeah. So another huge pro of Orange County is that the public schools here are generally very good. Of course, obviously, you know, every school is different, and it's important that you look at sites like greatschools.org and niche.com to do your own research. But if you're coming from an area, like I always think of like the city of San Francisco, like anyone I've ever known that has ever lived there has always said, you just have to put your kids in private school. Like the public schools are just not good there. So
I've heard that about LA too, actually.
Yeah,
to an
about
extent,
LA
too.
to an extent. Yeah, I guess it just depends.
Yeah, where you are.
Yeah, so Orange County, you know, by and large, I would argue that any city that you're in, you have good options. Maybe not the school that you're zoned for is the best, but
Yeah.
there are options of like good charter schools, other programs that you could transfer into. So that's just something that is really nice about Orange County.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever I hear someone like having their kids go to private school, I'm going, why? Like,
Yeah.
you're just going, that's why you're here in Orange County. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of paying for the fact that you're, in general, again, that the schools are pretty good as a by and large. But at the same time, not every school, again, that's why you look at your resources to make sure, and you can obviously contact the schools, feel good about what that specific school has to offer. But seriously, at the same time, I mean, I have no issues with our kids going to public school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally good with it. So we're gonna get into the biggest con of Orange County in just a second.
And it's gonna be shocking.
Yeah. Comment down below, what do you think it is?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, what do you think it is? Although there's gonna get some really negative comments from that, but
Oh, us. We're the biggest reason.
that's true.
We're the biggest con, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's
we've,
true.
We've come to accept things.
Yeah, I don't really care. So California tends to have really, really high energy costs, like high gasoline costs, high electricity. Natural gas isn't so bad, but I'm just talking mostly about like the summers when it gets hot and you want to turn your air conditioning on, and then suddenly your bill goes up to like $1,000.
Well, that's a little bit of
that
exaggeration.
is because we do not use the air
Not
conditioning.
$1,000. I mean, it gets up there.
Hey,
It gets high.
I've known people that have spent $1,000 a month on their air conditioning.
Wow, that's pretty
But
wasteful.
we're like born and bred Southern Californians, and it's weird that there's this culture here where you try not to use the air conditioning, and we do have like, it is part of the culture that how your house is on the inside is how it is on the outside until it gets like too hot. Like I actually don't personally like air conditioning.
Yeah.
I prefer to like have a fan until it just starts getting too hot. But yeah, then the energy costs, they're very high.
Yeah, and that does vary depending on where you are within the county. Like if you're more inland, that AC is being cranked up more and
Yeah.
more during the summer. If you're more coastal, less so.
Yeah, I mean, some houses, like you grew up in a house, because he grew up in Newport Beach, so you didn't have air conditioning.
Nope, we didn't have it, and
Yeah.
we survived somehow, some way.
So a huge pro of Orange County is we have got some great beaches, fantastic beaches. And Sean always likes to compare it to Hawaii because he
Yes.
used to live in Hawaii. Not to say that Hawaii has fantastic beaches too.
Yes.
But you want to...
Yeah, I mean, people would be like in awe of it. I mean, they come from all over the country and they'd be like amazed. And I'm like, yeah, they're nice beaches, but I'm like, hey, I come from Orange County. We have amazing beaches. We have just like great surf. The beaches are nice and wide in general. There's a lot of coastline here. I'm just going, okay, I mean, again, the Hawaii beaches are great. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but I'm certainly not going to necessarily trade the Orange County beaches here for those over there.
Yeah. Now we're going to get into the two biggest cons. We're going to break it up.
Okay.
Break it up. So first, let's talk about just general cost of living. Obviously, extremely high here in Orange County. You know, people like to say, you know, everyone's leaving California because of politics, and I'm sure that's part of it for some people. But I mean, let's be real, the main reason that people leave is cost of living.
Yeah, they can actually afford way more a lot of times, like depending on where they're relocating to. So they say, like, again, people justify what they do. So who is it for me to say that, you know, you're lying when you say you're moving out of an area?
Yeah.
However, I will say, like, you know, being real, if you could get the same amount of house for the same price here as you would to whatever you're relocating to, would you really leave? And I have to think no. I mean, because again, there's so many things. Again, we do have our words. We have, you know, like
Yeah.
there are reasons legitimate reasons why people move, but cost is such a big reason for it.
Yeah.
They go, wow, I can, like, for this little like I had a client that sold like a 2-bedroom condo, and again, a decent area, nothing super ritzy. They sold the 2-bedroom condo and bought like a 3,000 square foot brand new build outside of Phoenix. And obviously for them, that was a no-brainer. But if they could buy that same build here, they probably would have done it.
Yeah, for sure. And then just a little nuance to that, the second part to that, because I know we're talking about general cost of living, and then we are bleeding into the cost of housing as well.
Yes.
Although I will say, so this is going to sound crazy, and we actually did a video about this, but the value of Orange County, I would argue, is still very, very good. So we did a video about and I'll put it at the end. If you stay to the end of this video, you can link to it at the end. But basically, is Newport Beach actually cheap? Because if you look at Newport Beach, it's insanely expensive, but you're paying for paradise, right? And if you look at the cost of other paradises around the world, for example, the south of France is so much more expensive than Newport Beach. It's not even close. And then when you actually think about it, you're like, wait, is Newport, like, is the south of France that much better than Newport Beach? Like, I love the south of France. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I would live there in a second. But is it 3, 4, 5 times as expensive? Like, is it worth that much more? I don't.
And to me, it's not even worth anything more, period. I mean, I would actually take Newport Beach over the south of France. But again, I'm biased. I grew up there. But honestly, I appreciate what Newport has to offer. And so, again, I get it. Like, this is a con because, again, people get priced out, and that's the problem. So I get it. It's just that, you know, if you look at what you're getting out of it, you're getting one of the most desirable areas in the world, literally. Like, we're not, this is not hyperbole or whatever. This is truly one of those paradise locations in the world. I would stack it up with, honestly, any spot in the world. Like, you know, like, go toe to toe. We've done a video again about that. I don't see what these other places have to offer that it makes them more desirable than, let's say, like Orange County itself.
Yeah, and even other parts of California, when you compare it to the cost of Orange County, is much more expensive. And I'm like, well, I would rather live here than, like, honestly, anywhere in Northern California, like, personally.
Yeah, for sure.
And now let's get to the number one pro of Orange County. And this is all of Southern California, all the way, you know, from, Baja California, all the way on up to Santa Barbara.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The weather is fantastic here. I mean, obviously we're sitting here and it's overcast today, but this is rare. Southern California has the best weather in the world, bar none. I know we're talking about the south of France. Everyone talks about how the south of France has this awesome Mediterranean climate, which it does. But here, we're actually a little bit cooler in the summer, a little bit hotter in the winter.
A little bit drier.
A little bit drier. We don't get quite as much rain. Of course, we're splitting hairs here, but...
When you're paying this price,
yeah,
you're splitting hairs. Those hairs cost a lot.
It truly is the best weather in the world. And I always like to talk about my dad, like, he was a military brat and then he went into the military himself. So he had lived all over the world through his whole life. And then he got stationed in San Diego. And then he literally was like, this is the best place in the world. Like, why would I ever go anywhere else? And he literally never did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, it's incredible. I mean, honestly, they should rename the Mediterranean climate the Southern California climate. Because honestly, we own the Mediterranean as far as the weather. I mean, our weather is so good. Again, the Mediterranean climate's great. I'm not going to take, I'm just saying you're splitting hairs here. Like, our weather is truly the greatest weather in the world.
For sure.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California, so as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is you want to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email.
Or you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back.